Brian K. Just doing a quick lesson on how to get a good jazz guitar tone. First of all, I could fake it on my, Telecaster or Stratocaster, by messing with the tone knob. Quickest way to get there is with a hollow body guitar. Alright, so you want a fully hollow body or semi-hollow. At least 2, 3, 4 inches of thickness. That's going to give you that nice, I call it the bloopy bloop sound, because it goes bloop bloop. And it messes with the sustain a little bit too. It doesn't sustain as long. Well, I guess it sustains just fine. But it kind of gives it a hollow, knocky sound to it. So first of all, hollow body guitar, good way to go and get started. Okay, next thing is messing with your tone on the amp or your guitar. The first thing that people do is they tend to, first rule is neck pickup. You want to get on your neck pickup because that's going to sound warmer. The next thing you can do, and I'll just set my amp flat for right now. I've got my amp kind of fixed the way I like it. Flat just means everything up the middle. So if you have 1 through 10 on your EQ, everything's on 5. So I got the bass, the mids, and the treble all on 5 up the middle. And this is what a flat sound is like. So a lot of people might say, hey, that sounds great. Is what a lot of people do. A lot of people just kind of set their amp flat, go to the neck pickup, and that sounds pretty good. The next step is kind of mess with your tone knob. You can back the tone off a little bit. I got about halfway. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, here's with the tone knob all the way. Alright, halfway on the tone knob. Alright, so, just with the tone wide open, sounds a little bright to me. Get a little bit of a chime in there, which is good for cutting through the mix if you're playing in a big band, and you really want to cut through the mix. So my EQ is flat on the amp. The only problem I have with that, when I get down to my low notes, it's really, really, really bassy, and the sustain is like crazy. It's like, I can actually feel it vibrating in my room. So what I might do next, okay, tone knob wide open, is I'll turn my bass down a little bit. I got my bass on like 9 o'clock. Alright. And now the bass notes sound better. So they're not as boop. So now what I'm doing is I have the guitar, just the neck pickup, no tone knob. Now I'm using my amp to fix the tone. That's what I like to do. A lot of people go, bam, mess with the tone knob. But what I like to do is keep my guitar sound coming out natural and then kind of fix the amp the way I like it. So let me just tell you what I do really quick. Is first of all, I start flat, everything on 5. Check the bass notes. And then fix the bass notes, bring the bass down a little bit, maybe 9 o'clock. Maybe on your amp, flat sounds fine for the bass notes. So I'm going to bring the bass down a little bit. Now the highs are a little bit much for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back my treble off. Now I got my treble at 9 o'clock. So bass and treble at 9 o'clock, and my mids are still flat. Now I like the way that sounds, because when I play my high notes, they sound nice and warm. So now I like the way that sounds. I got my bass, my treble at 9 o'clock, my mids If I go treble all the way off, not a huge noticeable difference, but it sounds pretty good. But I want to bring a little bit through. Alright. So Grant Green, some people say Grant Green had treble and bass all the way off and the mids all the way up. Treble and bass all the way off and the mids all the way up. Now that sounds really good actually. I kind of like that sound. Here's with the mids at 3 o'clock. Sounds good. Here's with the bass treble all the way down and the mids at 5 o'clock, 12 o'clock straight up. Now that's the tone I kind of like. But I'll bring my bass and my treble back up to 9 o'clock. Mids flat up the middle. Now that's more closer to the tone that I like. Okay, next step is strings and picks. Strings, you want to get into a flat wound string, at least 11s. If you really want to beef up your first 2 strings, what I do is I got a pack of 11 flat wounds on here, and then I do a 14 and a 16 on my E and B string. And that gives me a nice fat tone when I go to those. And makes those sound a little bit better, because I didn't like the way the 11 sounded on the first string. So strings, flat wounds, beef up those first 2 strings. And next is the pick. The pick, I use these 3mm jazz stubbies, and it's purple stubby, and it's almost like beveled glass. It's really smooth against the string. Now here's a typical flat pick, like a green Tortex, 0.88mm. Now I can actually hear the pick going. Now that's a sound you probably hear a lot. And that's okay, but jazz stubby. Regular flat pick. Alright. Huge difference you can hear. So, guitar, try to fix it at the amp instead of just messing with your tone knob. Mess with your treble and your bass, strings, flat wounds, and then try to get into the jazz stubby picks. That's going to help your sound get really fat really fast. Hopefully this is helpful. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like it, let me know. And please subscribe and check out some of my other lessons. I got some other great stuff on theory, scales, and a couple rock tunes. So, thanks a lot.